Hey, Nick here, January 8th, 2022. I notice a lot of people in these groups that I post my stuff in, they're like, anecdotal evidence, ah, ha, 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 ha. Like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you're right. In a debate, if I was trying to use it as evidence for a position I held, it wouldn't be. But just because these groups are like have debate in the title or the description of the group doesn't mean there's actual debating going on in these groups. So I don't know what you guys think you're. I do know, but just get over it, okay? If I was in an actual debate, I wouldn't use my experience as evidence for a position such as gods exist, because I would debate more about what defines a god at this point, and just maybe not even debate, rather have a dialectical discussion. Or two opposing viewpoints can exchange ideas and knowledge and build off one another and try to strive to be closer to the truth one way or the other, instead of just whatever this thing that's happening in the Facebook debate groups. Just, yeah. Anyways, as far as like, if I was trying to say, hey, I had this experience, and then you guys said, hey, it's anecdotal experience. Like, yes, that's anecdotal experience, and I had it. Now what? Is basically what I'm trying to come at you guys with. Is what. So let's just say, okay, guys that want to scream about his anecdotal evidence, you were on drugs earlier that day. Did you see a psychiatrist? Yes, I saw my mental health counselor and told her we had a discussion about it. She thinks it was really God, but she believed in God already. Surprise! But she had to put down it was a drug-induced hallucination, but it wasn't. The drugs weren't hallucinogens, and it was way too earlier in the day, and it was just the only reason I mentioned it in the videos is because it happened, and I didn't want to make it look like I was hiding anything, but, you know. Yeah, so let's just say it did happen. How about that? Let's just spot me on that one. Let's say it happened. What could it be if it's not a supernatural entity that did it? What could have caused the little box to get tapped back towards me? You know, what could have been going on in my brain? And then there was more to that night, and there was other events afterwards that lead me to believe there's something out there that can at least masquerade as a supernatural force. Yeah, but it's got to be natural because I experienced it, and I know a lot about theoretical physics, so I know there's a lot of different situations that can happen theoretically, and the math that, concerning it all works out for the most part, but we don't have the sophisticated tools. Our measuring devices aren't sophisticated enough to perform experiments, but there doesn't mean there's not. I hate to say it, aliens, I guess, maybe, spiritual beings, I don't know, from another dimension, whatever, aliens in this universe that figured out how to manipulate space-time. I really don't know, and I'm open to just, trying to figure out explanations for my experience and make it more of a learning project instead of whatever the hell has been going on in these groups. Like, we don't have to be angry and hate each other just because I might believe in gods, because I don't know what to make of the experience, because I'm still trying to maintain my worldview of critical thinking, intellectual honesty, and scientific literacy. That's always been my worldview, regardless of what position I held as far as whether gods exist. And the more educated I became, the less I really worried about whether gods exist or not. It became more about the science and the Bible, and just, I've always been kind of a science enthusiast, so I like to debate about whether or not the events in the Bible occurred or not. That became more my thing than whether or not gods existed, because I really didn't know, and it was a philosophical discussion that could go on forever, that I didn't really take part in. But Yeah, so, but I always, at one point I just conceded, hey, I don't know if there's a godlike thing. There's probably something out there we don't know about. It's probably nothing, but we don't know it's nothing, until we die, I guess, is how I started viewing it, and just stopped caring so much about. I mean, I go on Twitter, and I see the people who their gimmick is to be atheist and pick on, like, the Bible, like. Oh, guys, just for real, we're still making fun of people that believe the Bible literally happened. Like, the events in the Bible literally took place. That's what level we're on. We haven't grown out of that yet. It's been like 2 or 3 years for some of these people I see on Twitter that's their gimmick, is being an atheist. Like, there's, I went through it, but for me, it was an evolution thing. It was like a stage. Now I'm beyond that. Like, I don't want to identify as an atheist. I'd rather just be identify as an enlightened being at this point. Leave that atheism and theism and agnosticism and all those labels aside. And for real, just but to pick on the Bible literalist is like, if as far as debating and being involved like in intellectual pursuits, like debating, like that, intellectual sports, that's picking on the weakest person on the playground, kind of. That's, you're being an intellectual bully, kind of, in a way, or just putting on a show for brutish type thinkers, kind of. That's how I look at it. You could do better than that. If you're trying to be intellectual, if it's about displaying intellectual dominance over people, or whatever the gimmick is, whatever you're trying to do, whatever your purpose is, whatever your motives are, um, picking on the Bible literalists and making fun of the literalists, the people that believe the Bible literally happened, and debunking the literal events in the Bible, come on, man. Come on. That's Bush League. All right, see you.